about the story of a young man whose life you can't understand if you haven't walked in the same shoes or came from the same land. You see, he's from a destination where the world used to vacation, but then became a destination full of devastation. His family didn't want to raise him there, couldn't take even a little more, so they tried their best to find a way out of the civil war. The father left first, never to be seen again or even heard on the phone, so the mother at the age of 15 had to raise the young boy on her own. She moved them to a refugee camp and they stayed there for a while, but she knew that it was no place to raise a child, so she decided that she would do whatever it takes to get herself and her son all the way to the States. But it's crazy, wallahi. Just look at the pain of a mother. She left one war zone and then came to another. She moved to a foreign land with no money in their pockets, moved from refugee camps just to move into the projects. So the young boy grew up in the belly of the beast, the streets where dreams become deceased. He was searching for peace, but all he found was a piece. Started banging west side, but he was born in the east. And that's when more of his circle started to decrease. Some got locked in cells and some put 6 feet deep. And he tried his best to fit in, but he could never be the same. And that's something he couldn't change. Man, even to his people, he became strange. He became more westernized, thinking that was progress. But it's nonsense if you lose your culture and your mother tongue in the process. So when he couldn't be like the rest, his self-esteem deflated because he didn't understand. He was the one they hated. He was black, he was Muslim, and don't forget to add the immigrant. He could try his whole life and he would still be different. And maybe that's why some look down at him, because they couldn't understand the struggle. But it's easy to treat a man like an animal when he came from the jungle. So the young boy tried his best to succeed, but to him it seemed impossible, because every time he achieved, there came another obstacle. So how could we expect him to believe when no one ever sat him down to have a serious talk? Truth is, the only pops he's ever known was in a cereal box. But nonetheless, he succeeded by himself. Oh wait, don't forget about his queen that told him to follow his deen, not to follow the green. This world is a nightmare, but follow your dreams. He is her prince and she is his queen. She's the one who taught him what true royalty means. And maybe that's why he compares himself to Simba. Because you see, here's the thing. He had to overcome his scars just to become the king. Now, he shines bright like the star in the middle of his flag. That's me, guys. Nice to meet you guys. Nice to meet you guys.
Hi.
Hello. Oh. Salam.
I'm here with Third World United. I'm here with Abu Bakr, Isam, and I'm here with JR. Tell me, how do you pronounce your name again?
My original name?
Yeah.
Saad.
Dai?
Saad. S-A-A-D.
Said.
Saad.
Saad.
Yeah, it's hard.
You gotta say it.
Takes a lot of practice.
Yeah.
That's exactly why I got a JR.
I know. It's like it was like sad.
That's exactly why.
Why you're sad?
And the meaning of my original name is in Arabic is happiness, but the English version is sad, which is like the opposite. So
You're the perfect story for a poet, right there.
I never knew that.
it's sad, right?
Oh.
Okay.
Welcome to Orcas Island.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Thank you for being our first performance for Sama, as we're here on in East Sound, and it's been an interesting year and a half, and it's been an interesting 4 years, and it's an honor and a pleasure to have you perform for this particular audience, and to have them discover your music, and more importantly, to have them discover your message. And what is that message?
You know, the interesting thing about art is we create with intention, but that doesn't mean it's always going to be perceived the same way that we're trying to really portray, you know? And honestly, it's just honest expression, just being true to who we are and our message and our intentions. Saad, Jr., he was actually a person that attended. He walked into an event at Seattle Central I got invited to perform at. He came to the event just for the food. We met. A year later, he became a main producer of ours, you know? So it's just like, you never know who might attend this event, right? It's just like, you just never know. We never know where this journey of life will take us, you know? But the main thing is, spreading, that message of honesty and uplifting the people, in a way that really just, it's a dark world that we live in. There's so much going on. you know, and creativity was my only way to find peace as an artist, right? So if I could share that peace with my people, and this is all my people, and that's, you know what I mean, the least I could do.
If I can add to that as well, man, speaking about, you never know what comes from an event. The first time he performed was the first time I met him. You know, it was at an event, I think years ago, maybe like
probably like 12 years ago, man.
Yeah, 2010, right? Something like that. Around that time, we were both young, you know, saying just starting our journey and things like that, and both of us, you know, saw each other and we both told each other, hey man, keep it pushing, keep it going. And it's crazy enough, we're here, you know, and that's I feel like that's where artistry really, you know, shines, because one single moment can be the changing of people's lives forever, you know.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
When you've created a intriguing type of music with a message, and I'm curious how you came to this type of art form.
When we look at like the culture of hip hop and how it came about, it started out as really like different elements of expression, speaking out and really resisting against the oppression that was happening within like black and brown communities, you know. So the whole idea of like even like rap, like and you know, any type of form of music, you know, that hip hop artists make, it's like often we look at it as a negative thing because of what mainstream culture has done to the culture, you know. It really altered the essence of what it actually is. So truth is we are just tapping in with what that essence is. We're going back to the essence, but we're also, another layer of that essence that we're adding to is also inspired by spirituality because of the faith that we follow, right? So all of those elements create the craft that we you know, that we partake in, you know. And on the ferry coming here, I pointed this out to Ak on the Rock and JR. We seen a picture on the ferry. I'm pretty sure maybe y'all seen the picture. It was, the way they described it was like a blend of modern and ancient, and it was like the traditional Native American canoe. It was a canoe right next to
The big ferry.
the big ferry, right? So that was like a blend of ancient and modern, right? So with the way we approach our craft is very similar to that, in a sense, as like we're creating music without actual music. You see what I'm saying?
All right.
Hey, now for a minute I've been looking for some inspiration. I got my pen, I got my pad to write with dedication. You see this poetry, my medication. I ain't a doctor, but I work on patience. I've been reflecting on my life, who I be around. I think it's time for me to ghost. You won't hear a sound. If you wanna make a come up, gotta settle down. Protect your soul when you fight to your last round. And they gon' ask how, and I'ma tell them I deserve this, cause I've been working. I put my trust in Allah, cause that's the first thing. I've been looking for some guidance, forever searching. You see, I'm traveling to find out what is my purpose. And best believe I'm about to climb out this hole I'm in. Coming from the trenches, we've been struggling to find some ends. But I'ma make it me, riding with that summer on his waist. He can feel the heat, never taught a different type of life. He only know the streets. His heart was warm, but now it's colder than the winter time. Stressing, really trying to be that star, but you can't force to shine. You say you wanna make it far, but are you really trying? It goes. Grinding, I move in silence, but I'ma tell her how I see it. There is no surprises. Money don't mean you hit the top, cause there is something higher. I'm so inspired. Working with these youngins, there is so much I acquire. I don't rock no Gucci, cause my kufi, it be flyer. I've been about my business, I ain't looking to get hired. Never working for the man, I wear my own attire. Now I'm in demand, I'm always praying to inspire. Inspiration, yeah.
tell me more about how you decided to make this type of music, a cappella 2.0, where did it originate? Because it seems to be manifesting in different countries, in different places. So it's like, it's not just one place, but you're creating your own version of this. What's the origin story of this?
It's like, in a way, it's like gospel music, you know? It's spiritual music, right? But it's with the faith of Islam. You know, and like I mentioned earlier, when you blend that with hip hop culture, because that's where we come from, the inner cities. We come from poverty. We come from the poorest parts of the city. Right? It's like naturally we're going to be raised into a culture, and it's going to create a whole different element in the sense that it's like we're blending like hip hop culture with our spirituality, you know, and because I don't want to get into like the rulings too much in terms of like, you know, like what Islam believes about music, but there's differences of opinions on what types of instruments that we could use in Islam, you know, for spiritual reasons, right? But the whole thing is just like when we approached it, we wanted to be able to tailor to every audience. We wanted the Muslim community to be comfortable with how we're presenting our craft, and also not specifically only tailoring to the Muslim community, because the message is for everybody. You don't have to be a Muslim to resonate to the message and to resonate to the work that we're doing, because everybody feels emotions, right? And we just have different experiences in our lives, you know what I mean? But the emotions are similar.
There are people that will only listen to gospel because, and they won't listen to secular music. Right. So, but you're making music. I played your work, and it's like, and other DJs have played your work. You're making work for a broad audience. But was one of the ideas behind it is that an audience that will only listen to specific music will also listen to your music. Did you create something that falls within that space, that's safe in that space?
You know, the whole thing was we want the message to resonate with everyone, and we don't want anybody to, don't get me wrong, like certain things when it comes to politics, religion, whatever the case, it will make you uncomfortable. But in the sense, like the essence of what we do, we want to make sure that we reach as many as people as possible.
I think we sat down and really like discussed this for hours on end, days on end, weeks on end, years on end, and we were looking for something where no one felt left out necessarily from the hip hop culture, you know, especially in certain dynamics, like we said earlier. There's some people that will never listen to that side of things, but then when they see us trying to incorporate something that they're able to listen to that they don't feel uncomfortable with, it brought a lot of people closer to us. And a lot of people even said, you know what, I'd rather listen to this than what I'm listening to right now. You know, so, and some people make it the only track list that they listen to now. It's very interesting how everything came about, but we had sincere intentions in the beginning to try and find something for our community and present their story to the rest of the world. And we were able to do that with Capella 2.0.
Can I bounce off of that idea just real quick? Is deeper than what's that called? Like just getting the message to everyone, right? Because we are all a product of mainstream culture. Like I could sing for you lyrics from 15 years ago when I was a child, 20 years ago when I was a child, of pollution. I'm looking back, when I was like 10, 11 years old, and I'm singing lyrics. I don't even know what the lyrics are. I'm just singing it. So it's like we're trying to create a whole new generation who grows up on no pollution, right? So that's why we're very intentional about using curse words. We're very intentional about how we approach a message, right? If we're talking about our story and our struggle, we want to make sure we're not glorifying anything, whatever the case may be. Because truth is, you know how many times I got 5, 6, 7-year-old kids walking up to me and be like, yo, you know, I'm always in your lives, and I'm always listening to your work. I'm like, yo, you're a 7-year-old kid, so I'm responsible for that child because their parent trusts their child listening to my work. And it got to that point. So, and even with people I work with, if I'm taking anybody under my wing, I'm letting them know the responsibility that they have you know what I mean, for really co-signing and working with us, because anything they do could reflect back to us, and it could affect those children, like who are growing up on our music.
And that's a complete juxtaposition to what we see in general. I think even there was a couple, you know, incidences over the past year where big name artists would bring out something that people are not used to listening to, and especially for the children. And they would say, well, it's not my responsibility to be careful for your child what they listen to. But we have a perspective where sometimes parents don't have the opportunity. My mom, she never knew what I was listening to.
It takes a village to raise a child.
It takes a village to raise a child. And what happened, I learned a lot of this crazy stuff that I used to be on back in the day was because of what I listened to and the environment I was in. And what happens, a parent can't always control that, especially immigrant parents, and especially, you know,
they're trying to survive. They're still adapting to this culture.
Working 2-3 jobs, trying to raise a child, that they don't have time for that. So sometimes it's our responsibility to try and give them something that will not only benefit them now, maybe, you know what I'm saying, in the afterlife as well. You know? So
because if we're not responsible, who is? You know, and there's a saying a lot of people say, I'd rather be an honest sinner than a dishonest saint. And I get that. I definitely do. It's a famous saying. At the same time, I feel like it's our responsibility to be conscious about because we're all sinners. We all make mistakes, right? But we should have some type of shyness, you know what I mean, in terms of how we present ourselves, because anything you say, anything you do is going to impact. So there's people watching you, and sometimes we don't realize the influence that we have because we're so caught up in our own mind, and we're so caught up trying to become successful and then chase the American dream. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we get so selfish to the point we don't consider that child that we may be affecting, who's going to be planting the seed in the next generation and generations to come when we're no longer alive anymore.
I said, this is my lyrical analysis. No one is as passionate. I write with the pen, so I can't make any accidents. If you're an antagonist, just know I'm not a pacifist. The only way to stop me is with the fang of the basilisk. So danger, danger, I got one in the chamber. Don't let the ink touch the paper. Who called for the waiter? This is food for thought, and everybody's getting catered. You see, my skin dark, and that's why they used to call me Darth Vader. Or maybe it's because my pen slices like a saber. Please don't test me. Please don't test me. I'm young, black, and Muslim. The odds are against me. I'm from a place where TripAdvisor would advise against the Horn of Africa. That's been riddled with violence. I moved to a foreign land, but I still don't ask for handouts, because why try to fit in when God created us to stand out? There's tears from our mothers. There's blood from our brothers. The system's like bleach. It don't work well with the colored. That's why I was feeling oppressed, and I try my best to stay silent, because I didn't want to be viewed as rude or violent. I try to be civil, right? But nothing changed about the outcome. So shout out to Martin. Now I'm all about my Malcolm. You see, even though I don't have a lot for what I have, I was scrapping box, grab the Glock, stab and knock. No, I'm joking. For real though, I would come with that electric flow, call me Static Shock. Wait, what am I saying? You can call me Kakarot. And the haters mad because I be slaying them, but I tell them go on with whatever you saying, son, because you can't chink my armor when it's made of vibranium. And even though I don't have a lot, be careful to watch your back, because there's people whose smiles are just as fake as they laugh. They want to take what you have and break you in half. It reminds me of Moses, the way there's snakes in our staff. That's why I had enough with all the chit chat. I went to the click clack. The Rosa Parks in me just wouldn't let me sit back. You heard?
This is interesting because you're Muslim.
Yep.
You're immigrants.
Yep.
You're presenting your culture in the 21st century. You're not acclimating yourselves to whatever is the popular culture. Like, you know, the record of the year right now, the number one record is of a Palestinian immigrant. And, you know, and
are you talking about DJ?
yeah, but he's, you know, but there isn't this, you know, I don't want to mince words around it. Like, you know, he's great, etc. But he's not thinking about presenting his culture. The thing that attracted me to you guys is that you're presenting your culture right now in the 21st century. You're not trying to whitewash it. You're not trying to present it in a way where it's like, okay, this is the way it's done at home, so I have to do this here. You're creating something of here and now. And I think that's super important, not even just for the kids, but for everybody to see what it is, for what it is, because there's so much propaganda about Islam, there's so much propaganda about Muslim youth, there's a fear of a threat, they become easy scapegoats for whatever's going on. There's like, Muslim looking man, etc. You're presenting something that flanks that completely, because you're not apologizing for anything, you're being honest with yourself, and you're actually going to the core of how do we actually get ready for the future? How do we speak to our children? How do we present this for what it is right now? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that doesn't make sense. And I want to kind of go off of that, and the reason being is because I'm gonna be honest with you, like when I dropped my first video, when I used to make music, as a younger person, I never started for the business. And if I didn't start for the business, I'm not gonna finish with the business, no matter how much I elevate in this industry. You see what I'm saying? No matter what opportunities I've had opportunities to do so many different things and really fold and really go against what my purpose and what was the reason I was not happy, right? So I realized, I was like, when I started this, it started off. So truth is, it's survival. It kept me away from the streets. It kept me away, and it gave me an understanding of my emotions, because as young men, we're not taught to talk about our emotions, right? Because we're seen as, we don't want to be made fun of by our friends, or we're seen as we're soft, or we're squares, or whatever the case may be, right? So it was really something that helped me understand my emotions, because when you don't have an understanding of your emotions take control of your actions. But when you have an understanding of your emotions, you probably won't heal. I used to think art heals. It doesn't. But it gives you an understanding of your emotions. Therefore, it becomes easier to navigate, the direction of your life. You see what I'm saying? So that's initially what it is. And that's why, like we have to be honest with what we do and sincere with what we do, because if we're not, then we're just going to become a product of the industry, and then we're going to tailor to what the mainstream audience wants to hear. You see what I'm saying? So
that was the thing that really struck me, was that you're not fronting, quote unquote.
But we're still being wavy with it. You know what I'm saying? We're still with the times in terms of we know what the youth want to hear in terms of sound, right? But we just make sure there's a message in there.
There's a concept in our culture to be like strangers. There's a concept in our culture that there will become a time where the believers will be like strangers. People who believe in faith and who believe in something good, they will be strange people to the rest of the world, and that's why we don't shy away from trying to be different. You know what I mean? And in one of my pieces, I was like, I said, what's it called? I claim to a forever land, but I never asked for handouts, because why try to fit in when God created us to stand out? You know what I mean? So it isn't our purpose on this earth isn't to be just like everybody else and assimilate and just be, one with everyone. Although we try to be as connected to the rest of to everybody else as possible, but our thing is to stand out. Our thing is to be different. Our thing is to be to bring something that the rest of the world is not giving. You know what I mean? That's our purpose, and that's our reason for doing what we do in the first place.
And also another thing too, like, yes, stand out, but also a way of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The last messenger in Islam who really came to seal the religion. What he used to do, and mind you, we follow his way, our Prophet Muhammad. What he used to do was speak the language of the people, right? So even though we're standing out, it's still wise to speak the language of the people, and the language of the people is the culture that we're familiar with, that because we were raised into this culture. It's not something we adopted because it was cool or whatever the case may be, which is why there's a lot of mainstream artists doing what they're doing, because they don't come from the culture. They just see it as a capital. You see what I'm saying? So for us, it's just like, this is all we know. This is like, we never planned to go university and all of the, even though I did, and some of us are still doing. Like we never, like we didn't really have anybody who paved the way for us. You see what I'm saying? This is all we really know. It's funny.
Yeah. Whoa. Okay. I kind of like this.
Yeah.
Hey, what?
Oh, let me hear a snap. Let me hear a snap.
Hey, hey. Hold on. Oh, you got me on rhythm a little bit, you know? Yeah. Whoa. Hey. Yeah. Yo, this for the Betty, let that toast fly. The same ones you smoking with, you get smoked by. Gotta change for a 20 by his waistline. The streets calling, if he answer, he gon' FaceTime. Yo, this for the Betty, let that toast fly. The same ones you smoking with, you get smoked by. Gotta change for a 20 by his waistline. The streets calling, if he answer, he gon' FaceTime. Yeah, time. Yeah, oh, time. Yeah, time.
Lost so many lives cause of 4 5s and knives. Never really alive, the story of how he died. Don't act so surprised, knew he wouldn't survive. You ain't noticed all the pain that he hid behind his eyes.
Hear the snaps.
Hey, that's the
Hey.
realest,
Hey.
really.
Hey.
I just try to tell him I came all the way from Philly. A young man, got his skills, get skills hooping.
Sonics, but he was still shooting like.
Hey. And that's the reality. I try to tell him, one hit fatality. Try to change it. Lord, forgive us. Lord, you give us. Lord, forgive us.
Just for the ready, let that toast fly. The same ones he smoking with, you get smoked by. Gotta change for a 20 by his waistline. The streets calling, if he answer, he gon' FaceTime. Yo, this for the ready, let that toast fly. The same ones he smoking with, you get smoked by. Gotta change for a 20 by his waistline. The streets calling, if he answer, he gon' FaceTime. Time. Yo, time. Let me freestyle real quick. Yo, hey. Never divide when I taking my time and I'm spitting my rhyme and I'm killing the game. It's the first I get my down, I'm low with it back like I tell it with blasting and feeling me passing the cats. They be scared of the aftermath coming through just like I'm swole. Attitude cold, don't try to hunt me down. Shade up from the dirty south, representing my section until you know what I'm about. Yeah, until you know what I'm about. Yeah, until you know what I'm about. Yeah, bring it back one time. Yeah, oh, yo. This for the Betty, let that toast fly. The same ones you smoking with, you get smoked by. Gotta change for a 20 by his waistline. The streets calling, if he answer, he gon' FaceTime. Yo, this for the Betty, let that toast fly. The same ones you smoking with, you get smoked by. Gotta change for a 20 by his waistline. The streets calling, if he answer, he gon' FaceTime. Hey, yeah. He gon' FaceTime.
What? Let him know.
He gon' FaceTime. Yeah. Does everybody clap? Come on.
Okay.
Yeah.
He gon' FaceTime.
Yeah. What? Hey. Just for the Betty, let that toast fly. The same one you smoking with, you get smoked by. Gotta change for a 20 by his waistline. The streets calling, if he answer, he gon' FaceTime. Time. Yeah, time, yeah, time, yeah, time, yeah.
You come from a tradition, you come from a culture, and if you come from a tradition, it's not about you. You know, that tradition teaches you, like, you got this place and time on this earth, then you're done. And then it's like, what are you leaving? What's the thing that you're doing? Like,
When I was younger, teenage years,
last year.
probably like 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago, I used to always complain to my mother. You know, I used to be like, Mom, why are we poor for? Like, how come we don't have money like the other kids, or how come our lives are not like what I've seen on TV? You know what my mother told me? She said, Isam, we are not poor. I don't want to hear those words coming out of your mouth. We are rich because richness is in the heart. Richness is in faith. You see what I'm saying? And no matter what obstacles I went through in my life and what trials and tribulations that I face in my life and my community face, I learned that when my heart had faith and when I was close to my spirituality, I was at peace no matter what I was going through in my life. Right? Because sometimes we get so anxious of what is to come, the future, this next check or this next gig or whatever the case may be, or sometimes we mourn the past. We get sad about the past and, oh my God, I wish that I'd done things differently, that we forget to be present. And the present is called the present for a reason, because the present is a gift.
Last time I performed this song live was 2020, United Kingdom, before COVID. So, you know, it's been a minute. Yeah. Listen. Hey. Refuse to let the colonizer take over my tongue. Rap from the top of my lungs. Everybody in my hood hustle clean or dirty, soaking again like a sponge. In my 20s going all out before I hit 30. Used to hear sirens and guns. Still on the block posted with the same homies. Hear the other that we run. 2, middle of night in the stool. Know that we heating the temp in the room. Ooh, know that my time coming soon. Flesh in the dust and get swept with the broom. Ooh, don't got nothing to prove. A vest for your chest, but you flexing on who? But your faith is what's proved. So you flexing on who? Choose. Hey, one chance can't double back, that's a fact. Yo, seek protection, prayed up so the devil never catch me back. Yo, everything you do based off intention. I hope that my heart never slacks. Yo, OD told me got prepared for the worst, so I was tucked 10 raps. Yo, everybody got something going, can compare you to no one else. A lot will change in these situations, so you first change yourself. Yo, everybody got something going, can compare you to no one else. A lot will change in these situations, so you first change yourself. Some people's test is being poor, some people test with wealth. Some people living up their best life, and others got problems with health. $1,000 on an iPhone, while millions can't leave the cell. Striving for rivers of honey and milk, I pray that I don't take an L. They try to overprice the consoles, but the game is free. I went from 0 to 26 like A to Z. Cause life will pass, and the nights don't last. When the time it starts, finish twice as fast. Getting worked up off of nonsense, I'ma tell you fam, don't sweat it. Things aren't really what you see, so don't be deceived by aesthetics. Feed yourself with nothing but the truth, don't worry about how the lies taste. Forgive me if I ever led you wrong, but believe me when I say everybody got something going, can compare you to no one else. A lot will change in these situations, so you first change yourself. Everybody got something going, can compare you to no one else. A lot will change in these situations, so you first change yourself. You see, we're always pointing fingers at other people, but I know y'all heard the saying, when you're pointing a finger at someone, 3 fingers are pointing back at you, right? So let's focus on ourselves instead of focusing on other people, right? So say this with me, yo. Hey, everybody got something going, can compare you to no one else. A lot will change in these situations, so you first change yourself. Yo, everybody got something going, can't compare you to no one else. Yo, a lot will change in these situations, so you first change yourself. Change.
It's hot. How do you produce this? What's the process with that?
So mainly, like he said, we don't use instruments. It's only use whatever our bodies can give us. We have our mouth. We can imitate any sound we want: trumpets, piano, chords, violins, and the beatboxing as well. We can create kicks, snares, use snaps. So it's mainly our just body. And sometimes if we can get more creative with it. We use samples of vocals. We found like songs that have actually the meaning of what the song is about. Yeah.
So, just nerding out for a second, instruments emulate voice.
Yeah.
The voice has qualities that an instrument can never have. So if you're talking about toms and everything like that, but are you finding anything within this process that is giving you tools that you would not have had if you were sticking with like a kit or something like that? Like, have you found anything that you didn't know? Have you been surprised?
What I can say about that is actually the final product at the end. When you hear what you actually created and when all those voices that you created come together, it creates a sound that no instrument can make. or no effects or plugins can have. So I can say that
What's a plugin?
a plugin is basically a software that helps you add like effects to whatever. It could be for instruments as well, and we use them too for our voices, but only to like add aesthetics and not make people like get bored of what we give. Because like he said, we're still wavy with it. We still like make it like people have fun and enjoy it. So that's why we use plugins.
Okay.
But the plugins is not really an instrument because it's not like a live instrument.
No, it's
Basically.
just
Just effects like reverb or
amplifiers.
delay.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Let's.
I want to mention something too, and also it gives when people make music and they use instruments. Shout out to anybody who does. A lot, especially in this mainstream industry, you see a lot of the times the instrument is carrying the song. if you were to take away certain instrumentations and right, so when it comes to the very minimalistic sounds that we use, your flow and how you approach that beat, it carries the song. The instrument complements it, right, of what we create. But
It
then
stays in the background
right?
all the time.
So as an artist, as a writer, I'm constantly thinking of flow switch ups and creative ways, to use my voice, right, to keep the audience engaged, right? So it's just kind of like, you go to a third world country and then you see kids playing with like an old soccer ball, right? They've been using that for so many years. You give them a real soccer ball,
Go crazy.
wow, you see what I'm saying? So it's because, they're so used to using something so, humble, and minimal, right? So I just wanted to add that, was my experience as a recording artist.
When,
This vocal backing is by one of our good friends. His name is Faisal Saleh. He is one of the most deadliest singers in the UK, and he dedicated this one just to us. We appreciate him. Thank you.
Lord, you keep blessing me and I don't know why.
Try to shed some tears, but I just couldn't cry.
I see another day while somebody just died.
So many struggling while I'm living life, yeah. Tell me, how do I have it so good? What is having so bad? I guess all I can say is alhamdulillah. Yeah, one bro I know COVID-19 took his father, but he smiles every day knowing that he's a martyr. Another brother in jail, the state took his daughter. No other family around and she's just a toddler. Another brother got shot and no one knows the reason. They put them pipes to his head and they left him leaking. His mama's searching for answers but ain't no one speaking. Now she cries every night, the neighbors hear her weeping. Another sister gave birth but the baby died. Another miscarriage, this time she couldn't cry. She couldn't even speak, she felt paralyzed. Inshallah, she gets to meet them in paradise. Another sister got married, best day of her life. They got to spend the night together and share the night. But she didn't know it was the last day she'd be a wife. The next morning, her husband didn't open his eyes. Ya Allah, forgive me, I've been an ungrateful servant, not seeing how everything can always worsen. But I see now that you bless each and every person, and I can't say none of us are really deserving. So,
Lord, you keep blessing me and I don't know why. Yeah. I tried to shed some tears, but I just couldn't cry.
I see another day while somebody just died. So many struggling while I'm living life.
How do I have it so good?
What is having so bad? I guess all I can say is alhamdulillah. Yeah, there's some people illiterate and can't read. Some are mute and can't speak. Some are deaf and can't hear. Some are blind and can't see. So many treated him properly. Some are going through poverty. Settlers restore their property, they took it all to straight robbery. This is for my people in Myanmar, for my people in Xinjiang, for my people in Syria, for my people in Palestine, for my people in Yemen, for my people in Kashmir, for my people all across the globe, and even those living right here. Cause
Lord, you keep blessing me, and I don't know why. Yeah.
Try to shed some tears, but I just couldn't cry. I see another day while somebody just died. So many struggling while I'm living life. Yeah.
Yo,
Tell me,
wait. How do I have it so good while others have it so bad?
I guess all I can say is alhamdulillah.
Yo,
yeah, I guess all I can say is alhamdulillah.
Yo.
I guess all I can say is alhamdulillah.
Yo, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, yeah, 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 alhamdulillah. Feel free to say it with us. Yeah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, yeah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, yeah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, yeah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, yeah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
When I started listening to you, and then I started hearing this, and you turned me on to others who were doing this, I was like, this is the beginning of something. Like, you know, before a scene is a scene, only a few people know about it, and then like suddenly everybody was like, I knew that. It's like, no, you didn't. There's no clue. What we were talking initially about this type of music sprouting in different parts of the world, and it is interesting because you have political pressure, cultural pressure, economic pressure, and out of that pressure, art comes. It just happens. It's like we talked about this, immigrant communities, poor communities, that's where the real art manifests itself. You're representing Islam in your way at this particular time, and you're presenting it through a platform which youth glom onto. It speaks their language, and it speaks in multiple languages and in multiple cultures. Can you speak to that?
Well, you know, the thing is, it's not easy to do that in the first place, to be able to give a message in our songs and our art or anything like that. It's a lot easier in general to just write and just be able to spit bars and use rhythms and things like that without having to really put a message with whatever we're saying. But the thing is, especially for us, is that these young brothers and sisters, they're going through things in their lives that they see on TV every single time. You know, this about Islam, that about Islam. And even me, myself, I used to be like, man, some things are crazy, you know? Are Muslims really like that? I used to ask those kind of questions until I really sat down and I got the knowledge from a teacher and sat down and I really started to understand my religion. And when the media has one perspective of Islam, when you know what I'm saying, the terrorists and things like that, they have the same exact perspective, what happens is that the youth themselves are going to see that and be like, they're going to try and disassociate themselves. But what we've noticed is when we present our work out there, more and more young brothers and sisters come up to us and be like, man, you inspired me to pray today. Your work inspired me to go back to my faith and delve deeper into everything that I've learned. And they go back and they start reading the Quran more, and they learn things that they didn't know before. Even one little small sentence in a thing, what's it called? Allah doesn't change the condition of a people until they change that within themselves. It's in one of the tracks. It's called Change, right? So tell me why. I was sitting there one day and I was like, damn, I haven't heard that in almost 10 years. And it really made me go back home that day and reflect and be like, damn, I really need to change some things about myself. So it's not an easy concept to be able to do, but with, you know what I'm saying, with trial and tribulation and real knowledge about what we're about our religion and our faith, we're able to portray a different image than what's accustomed to the rest of the world.
So I got this one piece, right? I love it, and it goes like this. Come on. Yeah, wait. Back up a little bit. Turn it up just a little bit. Hey. Yeah. Yeah. Before I'm down near my grave, I'ma keep grinding till all of my family straight. Feel like I'm playing chess, my fate is defined by the next move I make. Caught in the crossroads, in between heaven and hell. I done took L's, but I bounce back still. Only time gonna tell who really about it. For the ones claiming it real, some people change out the fame, money and power. I can never do the same. I done see friends to the foes, cold but a murder. For a little bit it changed, my city is grieving. Innocent kids taken over by demons. One side turning two sides. All bullets made a diva. Turning on religion for your set. Out here committing treason. I could care less what you rep. We see the same color bleeding. We've been through highs and lows, but we can't know sweet without bitter. I got this fire in my soul that keep me going through the winter. I put my trust in the law, never be trusting the law. They kill my brother. If I won't die for what I do, then what is the point of the words I utter? Lately I've been moving ghosts, yeah. Trying to get butter and toast, yeah. I'ma get back to the hood, yeah. Say the least and do the most, yeah. Ay, yeah. Say the least and do the most, yeah. Ay. We gon' say the least, but we gon' do the most. Yo, coming from the bottom, never boast. Lots of my brothers, they went go. I said lots of my brothers, they went ghost. Yeah, we gon' say the least, but we gon' do the most. Coming from the bottom, never boast. Lots of my brothers, they went go. I said lots of my brothers, they went ghost. Yo. Heard my brody break it down, we chopped it up about the vision. Hear that message when you listen, keep that hating in the distance. Gotta keep your circle smaller than a penny. Got some homies I call famine, I'ma tell you it ain't many. Yo, heavy foot up on the gas, don't stop for anyone. Need some money in the bag so we can split the funds. We pull up to the block, don't need any guns. We got hands, Muhammad Ali, don't get stung, yeah. Don't brag, don't want no evil eye. Mashallah, you know we got it, we gon' be alright. Yo, if we don't got it, we gon' get it. We started with a little, then we flipped it. We gon' say the least, but we gon' do the most. Coming from the bottom, never boast. Lots of my brothers, they went go. I said lots of my brothers, they went ghost. We gon' say the least, but we gon' do the most. Lots of my brothers, they went go. Hey, they went go. I said lots of my brothers, they went ghost. We gon' say the least, but we gon' do the most. Coming from the bottom, never boast. Lots of my brothers, they went ghost. We gon' say the least, but we gon' do the most. Coming from the bottom, never boast. Lots of my brothers, they went go. I said lots of my brothers, they went ghost.